There be light and there was light. Okay, so we are continuing exploring the characteristics of the God. Now we are on the set God. I am Crimey Queen. If you are joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we all about numbers, words, and the scriptures, all about actualizing self, full love, ensuring that we are ignited, that we are on a high with love, just love spilling over with love. Okay, so the set God, SET, of course, the set God is 8, 1, 5, 2. When we add these together, gives us 8. Now, this is all it's been about, is the God who ate. Of course, it was Mother Eve who ate of the fruit. Now we see about the set God. Now we have learned that Mother Eve really is the God of gods. So no matter how we look at all the set God or the God who said, which is of course Mother Eve is the God of words, and we learn through the scriptures as well. In the beginning was the Word. Now we know this beginning was a new era, just like we are in now, the fifth and eighth dimension, which is what Mother Eve is teaching us about. So if you are new to this channel, we are talking about Mother Eve right here. We are talking about the sacrifice template. Now we are not talking about going having to do all the sacrifice like we have learned, but this sacrifice that I think is required is really a dying of um, the old thinking, the old beliefs, the guilt, the shame, and all those things, like I was talking about in my vision, where I was conscious in my vision that my butt was showing, and after a while, I didn't care anyway, because whatever the light that I was dancing to was so much more important. So, what is a bit of butt showing compared to the light that I was immersing my spirit in? So, this is what there are times we need to really pay attention to our values. What is most important? Are you going to allow a bit of butt showing to paralyze you from immersing yourself in the light that is necessary for your growth and your development and your beauty and your joy and your fulfillment and the sense of direction for the path that you must take? Are we going to allow ourselves to be robbed of that chance of living to our optimum best? Are we going to allow ourselves to worry about what other people say instead of really worrying about what we feel within our heart we really ought to do, the path we ought to take? So again, like my vision that I'm making reference to, like I have done, is that I danced to the light. The light was shining on me. It called me, it beckoned me. I noticed it and I twirled around it, and it energized me. And that was necessary. And I believe it was after that I realized I had to go through a path as well. It's like a dark path. It was the soil. It was like the ground was dug. Not it was like it was dug. It was a narrow path. I had to go through that narrow path. I had to make a decision. Am I going to go through it, or am I going to really not take the opportunity and just freeze? Will I freeze? Will I not allow myself to trust? That was so important. I had to allow myself to trust and know that my intuition is guiding me. It will not fail me, and that's what it's about. I couldn't wait for someone to come and tell me, oh, you go. I couldn't wait for someone to tell me, yes, it is safe. I was not thinking about none of that. I knew if I had to be where I ought to be or wanted to be, I had to go through that narrow path. It was about 2 meters high in height, and about perhaps less than a meter in width, that the narrow path, and there was no one else on this path. This is about the second dream I am having like this, with having to go along a road where I am becoming concerned how far down that road I would have to go, and how lonely, or will I meet anyone else? Will I be safe? And I have to make that decision to go through it. In fact, the one I had before that was it wasn't a dark. The soil was not as dark. It was kind of reddish, but the I think it was perhaps one or two people I could see in a far distant, and but I was concerned about whether I would make it. Now I don't recall the full, although I wrote it, parts of it down, but what it is now, I was presented this time presented a rich soil, and that's another thing I had learned in the waking, that the dark or rich chocolate-like soil is very good for planting. So you could say I planted my spirit in that process, which reminds me of another dream I had with my own coffin, but that's another story. I'm going to have to do another thing on this. But as I was saying, if you are new to this channel, this is Mother Eve, and this is the template, the sacrifice template. So we are now in this, we are beginning with 9. 9 is beginning and 5 is end. So we are basically, the two are very close together. So I'm seeing for me here the numbers 159, which of course is consists of my personal numbers as well, are really significant here. But we are saying that we are in a new path. Mother Eve is really calling us in this new 9, or this 9, where we have paid to the inland revenue. We have paid our dues. That's what I have been talking about from the numbers 1 to 9. I have been saying we do our jazz. We have done the bucket thing. We have done the partnership, communion with other people. We have said yes, no. We have broken some rules and we have mended some. We have been lucky or unlucky in the process. We have developed here with number 4, and all of those things have been those um, experiences that have set the pillars for our paths. This is foundational. This is foundational. This is where it is said now, when you're in Christ, you're a new creature. This new is really, 5 is really in the middle, as you can see, the middle of 1 to 9. So 5 is really beginning and end in itself. So, or 9 is also beginning and end. We can see why people say 9 is the end, because where there is an end, there is a beginning. It's right there, one and the same, all in one. But we do have to here, you become like the fox. This is where they are talking about the 666, but you we needed to have been, or to overcome this foxified, foxy attribute, you could say. We had to become that. We had to do the gypsy journey. We had to go to the headquarters zone, which is number 8. And number 9, we have paid the dues. We are back in here. We are doing, so basically it's like we are working back with her now. This is Mother Eve will correct me if I take misconstrued on this, but we have paid our dues to the inland revenue, and now we are setting things in motion for that which has to be, or is required of us, to say, let us make man in our image and likeness, because this is the image and likeness we are shaping the world with. Our characteristics, our talents, our gifts, our commitments, and craft, whatever it is that we do, the words we use, and so on, our practices, our cultural doctrines, whatever it is, rituals, all those things are going to help shape man in our own image and likeness. So what you bring in or into this world now is an attribution of what, or contribution of what this new man is going to be. So there we are with Mother Eve directing us and it is so important that we pay attention to the rules, because Mother Eve, I don't think Mother Eve is going to be without rules. Okay, so talking about, excuse me. Okay, so the word set, because the word is eight, and we are, according to where we're at now, we are in the fifth and eighth dimension. Okay, just again, if you are new to this, to show you, so the mouth is the fifth dimension, and the number eight, of course, is the eighth dimension. So the tongue and the act of eating with the mouth, everything that happens here, it's that is what we are talking about now. We are planting right there, in our mouths. We are planting with words, we are planting with wisdom, we are eating whatever we are eating and nourishing our bodies. We are planting that new. This is the land here right now. So this is the land we are planting in this land. Whether you are taking it as your mind, you're planting in your mind right now. I am looking forward to doing the God of plant. But let's look at Set. Although Set perhaps should have been the, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the word set, what can we do with the word set? Apart from that, we can see et right there, or I was gonna say etc, but it's etc, not ets, because, but we perhaps could lend it, because s is sounding a bit like c. Okay, but that's what it is. Or we could say test, tes, where this is where the word test comes into play. And I think, I would believe, I would, very much so, of course, when something is set, it gets tested. It's got to get tested. So that's where the word test comes into play, to see the or find out where we're at when something is set. Now that hence, with the Ten Commandments, for instance, when Moses had the set of Ten Commandments, so there were five here or five there or whatever, and that was broken. So to break it is also to test it. It was a set, but it's broken. Many of us, particularly females, we know when we have a set of glass or glasses, or a set of or something comes as a set, but one gets broken. It tests our emotions, our feeling about that thing. Do we still continue with the three glasses when it was a set of four glasses, or a set of four chairs? Or do we continue with three chairs because one has been broken? It gets tested, and that's what the God of set was about. We know that when something, there's a set, there is also the process of that it is going to get tested. So wow, this is the second time this has happened now, and I'm not sure what this is about. Okay, yes, I read into most things. Um, so basically, when I am believing that in the fifth and eighth dimension now, for many of us, we have got tested along the way, and now we are coming. We know that, like in my vision, that things that I left behind, the guilt and the shame is left behind. So I am set for the fifth dimension and the eighth dimension. The number eight, as we have seen, is really that which is set. There is no breakage in the number itself. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope, oh, Mother Eve is just looking at me on the floor. Well, okay, let's just lift Mother Eve up. Perhaps Mother Eve is wanting to say something here. So we see that the word set is right here, and of course, um, again, words are very crucial in this stage. The words we use are so important that we pay attention to that. Okay, because then that sets the path of how. Um, what vibrations we are eliciting, or what motivations, or how we are being motivated, and how we are growing overall, and how we impact on others around us. Okay, get ready, get set, go. Spill over with love. Thank you.